Welcome back everyone to theCUBE here at our NYSE studio. Of course, we have our Palo Alto CUBE studios connecting Wall Street and Silicon Valley. I'm John Furrier, host of theCUBE. We're here for the Google Cloud AI Partner Series. We've got two great guests, Colleen Kapase, VP of Channel and Partner Programs for Google Cloud, and Sanjay Singh, the CEO of Onix. Thanks for coming on theCUBE. Welcome to theCUBE, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
So Sanjay, your featured story here as VIP partner, AI leader. I put the VIP in there because we were just talking before we came on, you're doing tons of stuff. You're #1 partner of the year in many categories, which means there's a lot of horizontal value you're creating. So first talk about what you guys do and your relationship with Google and the partnership.
So Onix, the way we have built Onix is in a very non-traditional manner. We built Onix as an IP-led services company and not a traditional body for hire consulting company, which category now Gartner calls it as service as a software company. So we built that company grounds up using IP and put all our intelligence into the platform to deliver outcomes for customers which are 2 times faster and half the cost, which is very experience driven instead of the lengthy sales cycle and consulting which typically customers are used to.
Project management, slow rolling.
Yeah, that's still important, but we have
not the slow part.
Oh, yeah. So if you look at the plan, build, run, those 3 categories, our plan is done by very high-end consultants. Build is completely automated, about 80%, and run is automated as well. And for Google Cloud, we have been focusing on the Google Cloud stack. We are a Google Cloud first company. We have been like 16 times partner of the year. This year we have with the data analytics partner of the year in telecom verticals, in healthcare verticals, in workspace collaborations, deep expertise serving some thousands plus customers, 20% plus of our customers are Fortune 500s. And we deliver the most complex programs for Google and their customers jointly in a very integrated go-to-market model across the world.
Colleen, they got IP led. He mentioned service as software, which I love, by the way. I think that's something that really differentiates where we are with agents. How does that fit into Google Cloud? Because now there's a technology partnership, there's business partnerships. Obviously we love the marketplace, that's great for buying stuff, but Google's got everything in between from marketplace to technology integration. Where does this fit?
Sanjay's right in the middle of it. His timing could not have been better in terms of investment and the focus that he has. So I've been at Google Cloud for about 1.5 years and really coming in to be part of a transformation. When we looked at AI changing the technology at Google, it also changed the type of partner that our field wanted to work with. In the past, it may have been more of just a selling relationship. How do we get into the client? How do we plant the flag? But quickly that moves from a planting the flag conversation to how are we implementing the technology? How are we driving to outcomes? So Sanjay's investments in IP and services per vertical, because our sales teams aren't just ubiquitous, they're very much vertical oriented. So when he has that vertical expertise in airlines with the ability to implement and drive consumption, drive usage, most importantly, drive happy customers, he's just really risen to the top, both from us from a global perspective and most importantly with our field, so it's been amazing.
All right, Sanjay, what's the secret sauce to the IP?
So what we have developed a platform called Wingspan. So what this platform does is that, let's take a step back. Let's see from the customer's lens. Customers get overwhelmed with technology and with solutions coming their way. What they want is really outcomes and something which seamlessly integrates into their business workflow. And they want something which they can see and touch in year, not a multi-year programs anymore. Nobody has that kind of budgets and patience anymore. So what Onix does is that we build a platform called Wingspan, which helps you do complete discovery and creating lineages and knowledge graphs of your data, application, and business user KPI, which is the holy grail of tech. So we know how the data moves, who uses it for what purposes. By combining A plus B plus C, you get a certain outcome and a KPI. For example, if you're a retailer, you combine data A plus process B to get customer 360. If you're healthcare, you do the same thing to get patient 360, and things like that. So we automated that completely with deep data engineering knowledge. Data engineering is what we bring to the table. Then on the AI side, we have been saying this for many, many years, which now the world is catching up, is that there is no AI without right data and context. And with Onix capability of having their own knowledge graph, if you have to automate your process, I know which data to train it on, and I build guardrails so it won't hallucinate, and it will give you ethical outputs, and as well as it's well trained on things that you need to answer for. that's what we have solved for at scale.
You know, you bring up a good point there. You're grounded in data. It reminds me of the pandemic. When the pandemic hit, if you were in the cloud, you were on the right side of that because, yeah, everyone was working at home, cloud scale, and if you operated with the cloud, you were doing great. In AI, if you were grounded in data, if you did the data work,
right,
you then are on the right side of the growth right now. Not everyone can be, so take me through the two scenarios where you're working with customers where, hey, you know, I've been a data hoarder, I've been playing with data, I got cybersecurity, I got all kinds of data, and then a customer's like, I just got everything, I got databases. They might not be as fluent or prepared. How do you talk to those two customers? Because I think we see some people really have leaned into data platforms and data lakes, et cetera. Some haven't. They got siloed stovepipes everywhere, you know, just like they're trying to figure it out. How do you solve this?
It's a great question. So there are multiple approaches to it. One is that depending upon the kind of outcome the customer is looking for and at what velocity. One approach is that you modernize your legacy data estates into modern data estates like Google BQ, which is best in class in the industry. And then you run a lot of analytics on top of it, and then you run a lot of AI programs on top of it. Mm-hmm. The other is more of a hybrid approach, where you transform your, as I call it, customer-facing, customer engagement platforms first, which gives you immediate business value onto the modern stack. And then you run off the data to do AI and automation where the data is sitting, which also Google Cloud kind of supports. So we run both programs. We offer both solutions to customers. And as we say, is the AI should meet the customer in its journey where it is today. And when we implement AI, for example, if you're an ISV, I was with an ISV today morning. And one of the biggest problem is sales and marketing. Everybody wants automation in sales and marketing to read off the Looker dashboard, to see what's happening, to pinpoint to the sales guys on the field that we see this deal stuck at this level. This is the buyer. We saw that he's looking for these. This is a new solution. How do we automate all of these things? And we kind of solve for these things at scale.
That's the Wingspan.
That's the Wingspan. The Wingspan is an integrated platform. It's got everything in it. It's got ability to modernize data.
Deploy it, or they subscribe to it, they consume it. How are they interfacing with it?
Neither.
Yeah, neither. What do they do?
So we use this to deliver services to them.
Oh, you use the tool.
That's why it's a service as a software.
So that's your secret weapon.
Yeah.
Yes, so we use that, and the customers don't need to increase the technical debt. Once it's done, they don't need it anymore.
I would say this is what keeps Onix's sort of partner of the year from a data perspective, is that IP and those tools that they've created, whether it's migrating the data, which you also have a tool for, or understanding how to best use the tool, how to use your data, that's what's making them.
A data moat.
Yeah.
Yep.
And an IP moat.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So this speaks to the Google integration. So one of the things that came out of Google Next, Colleen, I'd love to get both of your reaction, is the technical integrations with partners has been a big part of the value add. And there's all those value add pieces, but like the ones that are winning have an end-to-end integration. They are up and down with Google. And you mentioned discovery with Wingspan. One of the things we're seeing with these agents is evaluating the agents is a big topic.
Yeah.
And there's some math behind that, so there's now science into evaluation. It gets to your point about how you want to engage these environments with tech.
That's true.
Talk about the technology integration, because now we're talking about all new ways to create value.
So not only is Onix a strong data partner, but to be a strong AI partner, you really have to have that strong depth and base in data. And so they've got that, but the next step is that agent discussion. If you want to drive a good data story, you need to understand the processes at a specific customer, where their data sits, how are they going to have access to it, to then drive that agent experience. That, I think, is where we then bring in from BigQuery to our agent space discussion, and that's something that you guys have been doing amazing with. And it's that agent to agent and that agent orchestration that you're driving that's really been bringing value to customers.
Autonomous agents need that evaluation.
That's true. So we have been involved with the agent space launch. We kind of worked with the product engineering team of Google to launch that platform. And one of the things that we also do is that we are changing the game in the way how customers consume AI. And I'll double click on it. So what we have done is that we have created an IP called Onix Canopy, which is a collection of ready to go AI agents which customers can drop ship code to. So they just download the code, they plug in their data, and it's operational. And we fine tune, we come in and fine tune the overall experience of the customers to give them the right. And what we did is that we hired a lot of chief data officers and CIOs and CTOs of Fortune 10, 50 companies who understand what the typical pain points are in the process for business transformation lens. And we pre-build that upfront so that the customer's time to value is very, very
So you bet the business on service as software, because that's what you're doing.
Yes.
You're basically abstracting away the picks and shovels.
That's correct.
On behalf of the customer.
That's correct. And then and we are winning. Customers see differentiated value.
So speed and cost, can you share the numbers again in terms of the averages you're seeing, time to completion for projects?
50% less and 1/3 the cost typically.
As average. There's probably more cases. Across all verticals.
Across all verticals.
Regulated industries versus say non-regulated, unstructured data doesn't
We
matter?
typically work in 4 primary industries where we have very strong domain expertise.
Which ones are those?
Telecom, media, gaming, healthcare life sciences, retail CPG, banking, financial institutions.
Those are the hot ones.
Yeah. Those are the ones where
No life science?
It's CLS, healthcare life sciences.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
So
both payer, provider, and pharma.
Sorry, I missed that acronym.
No problem.
What's the acronym again?
HCLS, healthcare life sciences.
Okay, to me I just call it life sciences. It's too hard to remember. No, but if you look at where the GPUs are going, look at NVIDIA, AI factories and physical AI, the convergence of digital and physical are coming together. That's why I love the retail market and I love life sciences right now because financial services has always been there, so they're not really jumping off the page. They just continue to spend cash because they have the use cases.
Now, the other thing that we also did is that we recently bought a company called UJET's professional services division, which basically is the only Google Cloud native CES solution, customer engagement suite. What basically that means in simple English is that basically we are now have the ability to deploy customer service agent automation at the frontline worker level. So it empowers the frontline workers to give better customer service, to do cross-sell, to reduce churn reduction rates, to increase CSAT, and to reduce call volumes coming into a lot of those high engagement ratio customers.
So Colin, you have a real player here on the AI and data side, which is, so you don't see that very often. I have to ask you on the LLM side, you got Vertex, you got Gemini, you got all this goodness coming out of Google, and they're not stopping at Google Next. They simplified everything.
That's true.
They got native AI inside the product. So some of the stuff for BigQuery was like amazing. So they're doing AI for their product to enable you to do better.
Yes.
What are you doing with that new stuff? Can you share? Because I would envision these verticals have their own models too.
So what we have done is that there are 3 concepts. One is your large language model concept, then there's a small language model concept, and there's a domain-specific language model concept. Just Gartner yesterday published a big report on DSLM, where Onix was featured as one of the partners doing domain-specific large language models. So you take a large language model, and then you fine-tune it down to your particular vertical, and then you train that particular model along with the data sets that I have context and aware of. So your entire technology becomes seamless and it becomes very efficient. Instead of training what's trained on the internet, you kind of train what is trained on your taxonomy, on your description of your assets. For example, if you're a retailer, warehouse means very different than a warehouse what it would mean in a banking industry. Yeah. So the ability for the AI to decipher between the two contexts is extremely critical for the AI to function.
And the reasoning is only getting better with the context windows.
Exactly.
I mean, compare the scope of like the order of magnitude difference between pre-AI days. Just roll back, say, a decade or 15 years. To pull that off, to fine tune, I mean, possible? I mean, the alternative, how would you describe that? Go back 10 years, trying to do what you just said, get fine-tuned models. I mean, what kind of be it on taxonomy build an ontology, write some code?
Just years, and I would need a building full of servers here.
I mean, not attainable.
Not attainable.
And now it's
impossible.
Now it's part of your practice.
It's part of the practice, and that's what Google Platform enables. So it makes them so easy to use.
And what was the secret on the Google side?
Well, one of the differentiations that we have is, yes, we have Gemini, which is, by far one of the best models out there in the world. But we also have a model garden where we have other models from other providers. We have Anthropic that sits on top of the Google. We have Gemma, which is an open source, our own open source model. We have this model garden concept. And that's part of the ethos that makes Google special. It's our own offerings, but if there's other Mistral, other partners too, let's bring them along to
So
the party,
pick
and
your
it gives
model
you
for the
choices.
use.
That's true.
So
It
this,
gives
and
it-
use
yeah.
case specific, so flexibility.
And that is a differentiation, very much so, to Google with our own models right next to our partner models too.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have a bunch of TPUs to go with it.
Well, they like those.
I'm starting to see you guys really crush it on the AI infrastructure.
They're doing
What's the
fabulous.
impact on the AI infrastructure? Again, you have now supercomputing available to us average developers and leaders. I mean, that wasn't really available to get HPC, like you said, the server, you weren't kidding. We would need a bank of servers, data centers. Now it's all cloud-based.
And the impact is fairly straightforward from a speed of business transformation and innovation. What is now available for startups, it's available for ISP partners, it's available for large customers to create new solutions which would take forever to kind of even think about and provision from a CapEx perspective.
What are your most popular engagements with customers with your services software and with your IP-led Wingspan strategy? What's the...
Four of them. One is complete, because data transformation in AI is a board level topic. Every large and small corporations wants asking the questions to the executives, how can I be more data and AI driven now? Data was like a few years back. Now, how can I have every
Before it
business?
was analytics and dashboards, now it's like real competitive advantage.
AI. So they bring us in to tell us that, can you help us to be an AI first company? And then we go through the process value chain, find out whether it's an efficiency play or an innovation play through our engagement of discovery and solutioning, along with our domain experts that we have in each of these verticals and use cases, and plus our ready to go repository. So our sales cycle is very, very short because we.
So data is number one.
Data is number one. Second is complete modernization of the stack, AI deployment, running, and we also have something called as an application modernization practice. Basically, what we are saying to the world now is that if you look at a typical application that you're using on a laptop right now, you have an UI, then you have some logic, then your database. You don't need the UI anymore, because you can just talk to the AI, and that app is, we are saying that the AI is the new app without the UI.
Exactly, yeah.
So we are...
It's generative too.
Generative too, and it gives you flexibility. You're no longer hard-coded in your processes, so you can fine-tune your business
So that's
process.
number two. What's number three?
Number three is managing all of this in an ongoing manner, like AI ops, FinOps, making sure that the cost implication is taken care of. And the fourth area is all around bringing geospatial engineering and collaboration together into this. We're also a very big part of Google on geospatial engineering and the workspace collaboration. So we kind of bring all of these things together.
That's really security built in too. It's a big part
That's
of all
correct.
those, four of
That's
those
correct.
pillars. Colleen, what's next with these guys? They're on a fast track. Agent space is probably going to be hot for them with Wingspan. What's next in the relationship with these guys?
The Agentic experience is absolutely where we're at and where we're leaning into. I would say what's coming next is you see one customer building out agent after agent. It's going to be agent orchestration. How do I take my hundreds of agents? When do I end of life an agent? How does another agent speak to an agent? So I think we're going to be moving into agent orchestration, agent federation, agent governance here really fast, and you guys are well positioned to build out that capability.
Awesome. And what we see is that eventually our vision for the customers and for Google is that the customers of Google and ours will live on a single screen, which will be personalized to you, and you'll have all AI agents doing the work personalized for you, and you will be orchestrating it using a drag-drop model.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have an era where agents will have SLAs. There'll be an HR department for agents.
Of course.
Jensen Huang's comment at CES earlier in the year was a lot of people were blown back, but if you look at where the agent conversations are, evaluation's a technical conversation in all the top AI areas, evaluation of how they manage agents on agents, but they have to perform tasks like a student or an HR would manage an employee.
That's true.
And if they don't complete the task completion,
Yeah. But
there is kind of a management layer for agents.
Yes.
that's where we're going next.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate you being part of the AI Partner Series.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Love the vision. Love the mission.
Thank
it
you.
truly is a service as technology, and at the end of the day, it's service business, the software. Colleen, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it too.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for
it's
inviting
great to be
us.
here with an amazing partner.
Okay.
Thank you, Colleen.
I'm John Furrier with theCUBE. We are here in our New York City and New York Stock Exchange studio for the AI Series, Leader Series. Thanks for watching.